I'm Kurtop, and these are 100 archaeological discoveries that will give you goosebumps. Nuku Hiva bas-reliefs. On the island of Nuku Hiva, which is part of the Marquesas Islands archipelago in French Polynesia, archaeologists are amazed by mysterious statues. The bas-reliefs and sculptures depict strange beings that resemble gray aliens. They have human bodies, but their heads look like reptiles, with huge round eyes and low-set mouths. Who created these statues and why remains unknown. The modern natives of the island know nothing about the origin of the sculptures and believe that they depict the ancient god Onu, who, according to their beliefs, created the world. When Europeans discovered the island in the 16th century, it was inhabited by savage gatherers who became notorious for cannibalism. However, the connection between the current inhabitants and those who created the mysterious statues has been lost. Archaeologists suggest that these sculptures are at least 150,000 years old. Some believe that they depict priests in ritual masks, but such masks look too unusual to be just a part of earthly culture. Supporters of the conspiracy theory are convinced that a colony of aliens once lived on Nuku Hiva. In their opinion, the statues depict hybrids of humans and aliens, and the sculptures themselves are traces of ancient experiments. The mystery of the Antarctic monolith. In 2020, in a remote part of Antarctica, at a depth of more than 2 kilometers, researchers discovered a mysterious object that was named the Antarctic monolith. This object, a rectangular stone slab about 3 meters high and 1.5 meters wide, was found using an ice-penetrating radar used to map the landscape beneath the ice cover. The strangest part began when scientists started studying the monolith. The surface of the stone was covered with intricate geometric patterns and petroglyphs that were strangely similar to ancient symbols found in different parts of the world, including South America, Africa, and Asia. Analysis of the material showed that the stone has no analogs among the known rocks of Antarctica. This means that it came there from somewhere else. In addition, the monolith had unusual magnetic properties. Instruments detected a weak but constant magnetic field around it. Charred remains of organic materials were found near the monolith, which, according to scientists, could have been ancient plants or even the remains of living creatures that lived millions of years ago. These organic materials, encased in ice, could provide unique data about the ancient ecosystem of Antarctica when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Some researchers suggest that this could be evidence of a highly developed civilization that existed long before the appearance of humans. Others claim that this is potential evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. The agonizing death of the screaming woman. In 1935, near Luxor, Egypt, a mysterious mummy was found, which was called the Screaming Woman because of her terrifying facial expression with an open mouth. Scientists are convinced that the woman may have died from terrible pain, which led to a cadaveric spasm that fixed her face in a scream. The mummy was discovered by an archaeological expedition from the Metropolitan Museum of New York in the tomb of Senmut, the chief architect of Queen Hatshepsut. A burial chamber for his mother and other relatives was also found in this tomb. Despite the lavish burial, the screaming woman's identity and the cause of her expression stayed a mystery for nearly a century. Archaeologists conducted detailed studies of the mummy using CT scanning and infrared imaging. The virtual autopsy showed that the woman was about 48 years old. Her height was about 150 centimeters, and she suffered from mild arthritis. Surprisingly, her internal organs, such as the brain, heart, and lungs, were intact, which did not correspond to the usual mummification practices of the New Kingdom era. Her burial included a black wig made of date palm fibers treated with minerals and 2 rings with jasper scarabs, indicating her high social status. Dr. Salem suggested that her facial expression might have been the result of cadaveric spasm, a rare condition in which muscles that were actively used before death become fixed, indicating possible agony or severe stress. The embalmers mummified her body before it began to decompose and relax, preserving her mouth in an open position. Two-headed alien. In Tibet, a strange mummy with 2 heads was discovered, which was immediately dubbed the two-headed alien. This artifact caused shock among scientists and mysticism enthusiasts. The mummy seems to be of otherworldly origin, which gives rise to many theories ranging from mutations to extraterrestrial civilizations. Some investigators believe that it could be a ritual artifact or occult image created by ancient people to worship unknown forces. Interestingly, the structure of the mummy looks unusual, even for mutations known to biology. The proportions of its body and the shape of its heads suggest that it could have been the embodiment of something new, mythical, or otherworldly. Ancient Tibetan legends often mention celestial beings who visited Earth. Perhaps this artifact is an attempt to depict those whom the ancients considered gods. However, there is also a more down-to-earth version. The mummy could be the result of artificial mummification of two different bodies joined together for ritual purposes. Alien skulls. Several years ago, American and European media sensationalized the discovery of alien skulls in one of the caves in Russia. These strange skulls, which outwardly resemble something clearly non-human, sparked a lot of controversy. Many suggested that they could have belonged to aliens or creatures unknown to science. However, soon journalists claimed that the whole story was a hoax, and it quickly disappeared from the news headlines. These skulls might have been part of an ancient ritual or simply altered remains of animals whose bones took on unusual shapes. But it's interesting to imagine what a person felt when they first discovered them in a dark, cold cave. It's one thing to see them in a photograph, and quite another to hold this mysterious artifact in your hands, evoking a feeling of both fear and curiosity. Even though this discovery turned out to be a hoax, it remains an interesting reminder of how myths and facts can intertwine, creating amazing stories. Ceramic figurines from Mexico. In 1944, thousands of ceramic figurines were discovered in the Mexican city of Acámbaro, which have since sparked heated debates among scholars. These figurines depict people, animals, and even dinosaurs, which led to speculation about possible contact between ancient civilizations and dinosaurs, or the existence of a civilization with incredible knowledge of the ancient world. Some proponents of alternative theories even put forward hypotheses about extraterrestrial origin or influence. However, the authenticity of the Acámbaro figurines is seriously doubted by most scientists. Many researchers believe that these artifacts may be modern forgeries created to attract attention or for commercial gain. The lack of reliable dating and archaeological context increases skepticism about their authenticity. Ancient stone circles in Saudi Arabia. Archaeologists in Saudi Arabia have excavated 8 ancient stone circles that served as dwellings for people more than 7,000 years ago. About 345 such structures have been identified. With the help of aerial photography in the lava field of Harat Uwairid, near the city of Al-Ula in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. The stone circles have a diameter of 4 to 8 meters and include at least one standing stone in the center. During the excavations, archaeologists discovered numerous stone tools made of basalt. From just 5 circles, almost 225 kilograms of stone tools or their fragments were recovered. Bones of sheep, goats, and cows were also found. Among the finds were various seashells from the Red Sea, located about 120 kilometers to the west. The round shape of houses was a global phenomenon in early architecture, and rectangular houses appeared later, during the Neolithic period. The architecture of standing stone circles in Saudi Arabia is similar to structures found in Jordan, which date to about 500 years earlier. The people who built these structures also raised sheep, goats, and cattle. The mystery of a 4,000-year-old mummy has been revealed. Scientists managed to uncover the secret of the mummy of the Egyptian woman Shenet Ah, who was sealed in a cartonnage without visible seams. With the help of a CT scan, researchers finally understood how she was embalmed about 3,000 years ago. Shenet Ah lived during the Third Intermediate Period under the rule of the 22nd dynasty. At the time of her death, she was about 30 to 40 years old, and the careful preparation of her body for the afterlife indicates her high social status. For many years, scientists could not explain how the remains ended up inside the cartonnage, finding only a small hole near the feet. However, scanning revealed a seam along the back and lacing, which provided the key to the mystery. The embalmers softened the cartonnage to make it flexible, made an incision in the back, and placed the body inside. Then they stitched up the seam and used a wooden panel at the feet to secure it in place. The internal organs were removed and replaced with small figurines of the sons of Horus, Amset, Hapi, Duamutef, and Kebasenuef. Each of them protected a specific organ. It was also found that Shenet-A had lost several teeth, and the remaining ones were badly worn down, which may be related to the presence of sand in the food. The Egyptian woman's eyes were replaced with artificial ones, and her body was wrapped in expensive linen. Her brightly decorated sarcophagus emphasizes her privileged status. The ancient Egyptians prepared for the afterlife the way we prepare for retirement. They saved up resources to provide for themselves in the world of the dead. Out-of-place artifact. Out-of-place artifacts are discoveries that do not fit at all into the traditional understanding of our history. They are found in places and layers of earth where they shouldn't be. The most amazing thing is that based on their age and level of complexity, such items simply could not have been created at a time when, as it is believed, no advanced technologies existed. Mainstream science often declares such finds to be fakes or simply ignores them. But there are more and more of them, and it's no longer possible to turn a blind eye. Let's take, for example, the mysterious metal pipes, the Baigong pipes, discovered in China. These pipes go deep into the ground and stretch all the way to the shores of lakes. Their age is estimated at 150,000 years. The composition of the pipes, which includes iron and other minerals, along with their ancient origin, baffles researchers. Some believe that this is the result of natural processes, but others think that the pipes could be traces of a highly advanced civilization, or even left behind by aliens. Nevertheless, another mystery is a forged nail whose age exceeds 350 million years. The nail was found in a layer of rock dating back to the Paleozoic era, a time when neither humans nor, even more so, metalworking existed. How could such a nail end up in ancient rock layers? Some scientists suggest tectonic processes, while others talk about the involvement of previously unknown civilizations. In Provence, fossilized tools were found that could have been made by humans or even from ancient trees. If this is true, such discoveries indicate the existence of intelligent beings who had woodworking skills long before the emergence of the first known civilizations. Other discoveries are even stranger. In Antarctica, the Altanin antenna was discovered, which at first appeared to be a high-tech object, but later it turned out to be just a sea sponge. Nevertheless, the very fact of such a misconception shows how wrong we can be when faced with the inexplicable. The traces of the Piluski River are another mystery. Giant humanoid footprints were found next to dinosaur tracks. This discovery calls into question our understanding of the chronology of life on Earth. After all, according to the theory of evolution, dinosaurs and humans never coexisted. There are other examples as well. The anomaly on Mount Ararat, which is associated with Noah's Ark, the clay figurine from Nampa whose age is unclear, or the wolf's egg, iron, which is believed to be a remnant from a prehistoric era. We shouldn't forget about the Tucson artifacts. It's a collection of 31 lead objects found in 1924 near Picture Rocks, Arizona. These artifacts include crosses, swords, and other items engraved with inscriptions in Latin and Hebrew, as well as images resembling medieval symbols. It was initially assumed that they were created by ancient Mediterranean civilizations that supposedly crossed the Atlantic in the 1st century. However, later many scholars considered them to be a hoax created in modern times to mislead researchers. In any case, each of these artifacts calls our understanding of the past into question and opens the door to new theories and research. Perhaps our history is much more amazing and mysterious than we could have imagined. The Salt Man from Iran. This astonishing find was discovered in the mid-1990s in the salt mines near Shirabad, in the mountains of Iran. Archaeologists believe these are the remains of a worker from an ancient salt mine who died right at his workplace about 1,500 years ago. The unique conditions of the cave, saturated with salty vapors, helped preserve his body in an astonishing state. Even the hair has been preserved on the mummy, which, under the influence of salt, has acquired a whitish tint, as well as the beard, which gives the find an even more eerie appearance. Scientists believe that the high concentration of salt in the cave prevented the decomposition process, naturally mummifying the body. The salt-preserved body looks as if time has stopped, allowing us to glimpse the face of the past. The Salt Man of Solyana is not only an archaeological sensation, but also an important source of information about the lives of people of that era. Today, this mummy is a reminder of the harsh reality of the past and a unique example of human interaction with nature. The medieval astronaut. In 1993, European and American magazines published sensational news. Among the stone carvings of the cathedral in Salamanca, Spain, an image of an astronaut was discovered. Construction of the cathedral began in 1513 and was completed in 1733. Journalists and readers actively discussed how people in the 18th century could have known about the existence of spacesuits. All kinds of theories were suggested, from the artist's foresight to an alien visit. However, enthusiasts were in for a surprise. The figure of the astronaut turned out to be just a prank. Among stone carvers in Europe, there is a tradition of adding new details during the restoration of buildings. In 1992, during the restoration of the cathedral, a stone carver named Geronimo Garcia, with unofficial permission from the church authorities, added several new figures to the facade, including the astronaut. This tradition brings historical buildings to life and adds a modern touch to them. The case in Salamanca reminds us that the past and present can intertwine in surprising ways, and restorers often leave their mark for future generations. Indonesian Star Trek. In 1992, Indonesian ideologist Castillo made a discovery that still shocks people. In the province of Kapanga, Indonesia, he explored the Devil's Cave in the mountains and discovered an unusual stone. On its surface, mysterious symbols were engraved, resembling a star map. The markings on the stone are strikingly similar to the images from the plaques sent by NASA into space, with the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 probes in the 1970s. The stone depicts a man and a woman holding hands, as well as the sun, stars, and lines resembling roots. Geologists claim that the stone was worked on hundreds of thousands of years ago. This casts doubt on its earthly origin, since people at that time supposedly could not have possessed such knowledge. Conspiracy theorists suggest that aliens received the message from the Pioneer probe, but made a miscalculation and ended up on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. Perhaps they got stuck here and left their mark in the form of this stone. Another theory suggests that the stone could have been created by an advanced civilization that existed in Indonesia long before the Common Era. The map depicts a star system with 1 star and 7 planets, an almost exact replica of the solar system. Modern scientists recognize 8 planets, but not long ago, Neptune was considered an asteroid. Whoever the authors of the mysterious stone were, their knowledge of the stars remains a mystery, astonishing modern science. Stromatolites are some of the oldest evidence of life on Earth. Their age is estimated to be about 3.5 billion years. These ancient formations consist of thin layers of sedimentary rocks that were created by colonies of cyanobacteria, primitive microorganisms capable of photosynthesis. Stromatolites can be found in various parts of the world, but some of the most famous and well-preserved examples are located in Australia, especially in the Shark Bay area. The cyanobacteria that created stromatolites played a key role in changing the chemical composition of Earth's atmosphere by releasing oxygen as a result of photosynthesis. This led to the so-called oxygen catastrophe, which, although it caused the mass extinction of anaerobic organisms, created the conditions for the development of more complex forms of life, including animals and plants. Stromatolites are thus considered the oxygen factories of ancient times. The most mysterious people of Europe archaeologists have discovered an altar from the Roman era in a monastery on Mount Ariondi in northern Spain. It is dedicated to the mysterious deity La Loraki. The find, dated to the 1st century AD, is important for studying the religious practices of the Vascones, one of the most mysterious peoples of Europe. This altar is one of 4 known altars of La Loraka, but the only one found during the excavations. The artifact was discovered at the bottom of a well in the Dunestebe monastery. There is an inscription on the altar. Valeria Vitella fulfills her vow to La Lorac freely and deservedly. Mount Ariondi inhabited since Roman times, is located in the valley of the Gulina River, not far from Pamplona. Its strategic location has made this place important throughout history, as evidenced by the remains of Roman infrastructure and a later monastery dedicated to St. Stephen. Little is known about Lalaraki, and worship of this deity is evidenced by only 3 other altars. The new discovery expands the known geographical spread of the cult of Laraki. A 1,000-year-old collection of medieval games. Archaeologists have discovered a collection of medieval gaming items in a forgotten castle in southern Germany. Among the finds are a well-preserved chess piece, gaming tokens, and dice dating back to the 11th and 12th centuries. These items provide a unique insight into early gaming culture. The chess piece, found in the shape of a knight, is especially significant, as it dates back to the early spread of chess in Europe. Laboratory analysis showed that one side played with red pieces. The wear marks on the piece indicate that the rules of the game have been preserved to this day. In the Middle Ages, chess was one of the 7 skills that a good knight had to master. This explains why many chess pieces are found in castles. In addition to the chess piece, flower-shaped game tokens and a 6-sided die carved from horn were found. Artifacts found beneath the wall's rubble help scientists better understand medieval nobility's gaming culture. In the future, researchers plan to conduct further analyses to learn more about the origins of European chess and the significance of games in the world of medieval knights. Teddy bear soldier? In 1908, for Christmas, a boy from Birmingham received a teddy bear as a gift, which he named Captain Bruini. However, the bear's fate changed in 1915, when the boy's father was called to war. To ease the pain of separation, the boy dressed his friend in a military uniform made from improvised materials. The bear received a unique outfit: stylish baggy trousers, a U-saber, a pistol, and even a driver's license signed by the boy's father. On the postcard, with the bear's story, written by its owner, it is said that Bruini served on Salisbury Plain and quickly earned the rank of general thanks to some questionable maneuvers. His motorcycle with a sidecar had wheels made from tin can lids, and his clothes were sewn by the boy and his cousins. The bear's story is unique because he has kept his military appearance. Antique teddy bear specialist Daniel Agnew noted that most such toys lost their uniforms after the war, as it reminded people of hard times. The bear's owner's name remains a mystery, but there are some clues, such as a signature on a driver's license with the likely last name Bullwright. Captain Bruini is being auctioned in Newbury, Berkshire, where he is expected to sell for £1,200 sterling. Shiva Linga. In the city of Sirsi in India, there is a unique pilgrimage site called Sahasra Linga. Here, among the natural beauty, there are stones and stone images of Shiva Linga, which are especially impressive during the Mahashivaratri festival. At this time, the water level in the river drops, making the sculptures visible and attracting thousands of pilgrims and tourists who wish to see and worship the sacred lingams. Shiva Linga is a symbol of Shiva, one of the main deities in Hinduism, representing the source of creation and destruction. Interestingly, there are not only religious but also scientific debates surrounding the Shiva Linga. Some proponents of the ancient astronaut theory claim that the Shiva Linga could represent a powerful technological device, similar in function to a modern nuclear reactor. Based on the shape and properties of the linga, they suggest that ancient people might have used advanced technologies. On the other hand, modern scientists may interpret the Shiva Linga as a symbol of atomic energy, which also has the potential for both great benefit and destruction. This analogy highlights the dual nature of Shiva, who in Hindu tradition is both a creator and a destroyer at the same time. Tutankhamun from Kazakhstan. In 1969, the burial of a man in golden armor was found in Kazakhstan, and the armor became a symbol of the country. The scientists, fascinated by the 4,000 artifacts, forgot about the remains themselves. The golden armor of a 5th century BC warrior, known as the Golden Man, became a symbol of Kazakhstan's independence. It was discovered in a Saka tribe tomb near Issyk, 60 kilometers east of Almaty. During the excavation, archaeologists discovered remains with gold-adorned armor and many other valuable artifacts. The burial, found by a farmer preparing the land for sowing, remained untouched despite the looting of the main tomb, In a sarcophagus made of spruce logs lay a skeleton adorned with 4,000 gold ornaments. This discovery amazed scientists so much that the human remains initially received less attention. The Golden Man, who is called the Tutankhamun of Kazakhstan, is believed to have been a young warrior of the Saka tribe, dressed in an outfit with 1,000 gold ornaments, including a shirt, boots, and a headdress. The outfit is decorated with animal motifs and a 70-centimeter tall headdress featuring arrows, snow leopards, and mythical creatures. It has been suggested that the remains may belong to a female priestess, referring to artifacts found nearby, such as a mirror and a necklace. In her book Warrior Women, she put forward the theory that the Golden Man could have been a woman. The poor condition of the bones, after 50 years of exposure to bacteria and viruses, makes analysis difficult, but the possibility that the Golden Man was a woman remains open. Regardless of gender, the craftsmanship of the costume is impressive. Sinister Secrets of Egypt. Dr. Sperlia, deputy head of the German expedition in Egypt, spoke about his discovery, which is several decades old. Together with his American colleagues, he found a mysterious black temple of the sun scarab in Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. The temple was made of 4 basalt blocks without windows, and the roof was held up without supports. The entrance was covered with sand, which the workers cleared in a few days. Inside, there was a second stone box, almost touching the roof. Without doors or openings, it looked like a mysterious trap. The workers tried to dismantle it for 2 days, but even a crowbar didn't leave any marks on the strong basalt. Soon, the workers discovered a lid with an image of a scarab, decorated with gold and blue paint that had withstood the test of time. The lid concealed a passage leading underground, where there was a huge metal sculpture of a beetle with a crystal head. This beetle looked more like a technological device than a religious artifact. The attempt to study the artifact ended unexpectedly. The English officer came back with soldiers and an order from the governor to leave the site. The American expedition was expelled and the temple sealed. A few years later, Sperli learned that an English airbase had been built on the site of the temple. The strange metallic statue, resembling a machine, remained a mystery forever. Sperli never returned to this subject, as his expertise was soon needed by the Third Reich. The story of the Black Temple of the Sun Scarab remained one of the most mysterious chapters in archaeology. The Fuente Magna Bowl, a mysterious artifact found near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, also attracted archaeologists with its unusual depiction. The bowl, named Fuente Magna, is a large stone vessel with unusual inscriptions on its surface. These inscriptions amazed researchers because of their resemblance to Sumerian cuneiform, one of the oldest writing systems that originated in Mesopotamia. The unusual nature of the inscription gave rise to a theory about possible contacts between the ancient cultures of Mesopotamia and South America. Supporters of this hypothesis claim that the bowl may serve as evidence of unknown migration routes, or even ancient sea voyages that connected these distant regions. However, skeptics point to the high likelihood of forgery. They argue that the bowl could have been created in a later period, possibly even in modern times, with the aim of causing a sensation. About 100 to 150 years ago, it was very popular around the world to create such objects in order to attract people to fairs and make money off gullible citizens. Despite this, the exact origin and meaning of the Fuente Magna bowl remain unknown, continuing to interest archaeologists and people fascinated by the mysteries of ancient history. A tomb with unique frescoes. In a small tomb, a Tang Dynasty tomb in northern China, amazing frescoes were found depicting everyday life in the 8th century. The frescoes, dated to the year 736, cover all the walls of the tomb except the floor, and depict scenes from the life of the Tang Dynasty. The tomb belonged to a man who died at the age of 63. The paintings are done in the Tang Dynasty style, using strong outlines and simple shading, and mostly appear two-dimensional. This style, called Figure Under the Tree, was popular in Taiyuan, the capital city of Shaanxi province. The frescoes also decorate the gates, corridors, and the pedestal of the tomb. On the outside of the gates, guards are depicted. The frescoes do not portray well-known historical periods or important figures. In one scene, people are performing everyday tasks, such as grinding grain or drawing water from a well. In another, a woman with horses and a man with a whip are depicted presumably from the Nihan ethnic group. The figures in the frescoes resemble the same man and woman, which leads archaeologists to believe that they were the owners of the tomb. The oldest photograph in Germany. Photography is generally considered to have been invented in 1839. However, a photograph was discovered in Munich that changes history. A photograph taken 2 years earlier was found in a German museum. The photograph, measuring 4 by 4 centimeters, shows a Munich landmark, the Frauenkirche Cathedral. The photograph was taken by the German scientist Franz von Kobel in 1837. The researcher Cornelia Kemp found this photo in the archive. Previously, it was believed that the oldest photograph in Germany dated back to 1839. It was in that year that Louis Daguerre invented the daguerreotype. But the discovery in Munich shows that the first photograph in Germany was taken in March 1837. Kobel marked the date on the back of the photograph, which was made using salt print. In the picture, the Frauenkirche appears as a shadow against the dark sky. The image was developed and exposed for hours. The oldest photograph in Germany will not be on permanent display at the museum. It will be kept in a special room with a low temperature. The Cave Devil. This sinister face, known as the Cave Devil, looks at visitors from the wall of one of the famous Hellfire Caves in West Wycombe in the southeast of Britain. The caves were man-made in the 18th century, and their history is closely connected with the Hellfire Club, a society founded by the eccentric aristocrat Sir Francis Dashwood. The club included members of the elite of that time who gathered here to conduct mysterious rituals, and according to rumors, even black masses. After Dashwood's death, the club ceased to exist and the caves were abandoned. However, in the mid-20th century, they were turned into a tourist attraction, drawing in the curious and adventure seekers. Among the winding passages and dark halls, tourists often encounter this ominous image, which suddenly emerges from the cave darkness and often terrifies them. Although the true purpose of creating this devilish mask remains unknown, it fuels legends about the dark secrets of the Hellfire Club. Ritual table in Tava Tepe. In Azerbaijan, a team of Italian and Azerbaijani archaeologists discovered a ritual table that is 3,500 years old in the ancient settlement of Tava Tepe. This place is located near the borders of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. During the excavations, a round adobe structure was found. The structure includes a kitchen area and a ritual table. Between 1500 and 750 BC, during the late Bronze and early Iron Ages, nomadic peoples probably used Tava Tepe as a resting place before traveling through the mountains. Archaeologists also found a ritual table with 8 recesses and many ceramic containers, bowls, vessels made of black-fired ceramics, and long flat pebbles for stirring food. In the corner of the kitchen, a thick layer of ash and clay tokens with fingerprints have been preserved, which may have served as food ration tokens. At the entrance, there were originally wooden columns, and a thatched roof covered the entire complex, which was about 15 meters in diameter. Outside, animal bones and discarded pottery were found, human figurines placed in sacrificial pits, and the fact that the structure was sealed along with all the pottery indicate its ceremonial nature. Women are forbidden to see this mask. The Pitt Rivers Museum at Oxford University has removed from display a wooden mask made by the Igbo people of Nigeria. According to the beliefs of this people, women are forbidden to see the mask, and only men are allowed to use it during ceremonies and rituals. The museum put up a warning sign about cultural safety and removed the image of the mask from its website. The Igbo mask has deep cultural significance, symbolizes spiritual power, and protects the traditions of the tribe. It was used exclusively by men, which emphasizes its importance in religious and social rituals. Art historian Ruth Millington noted that denying all women access to the artifact because of the taboo of one culture is an extreme measure. She believes that women should have the right to decide for themselves whether they want to see the mask after learning about its cultural features. The Four-Eyed Figurine. This mysterious figurine, known as the Four-Eyed, was found in the territory of modern-day Serbia. The age of the artifact is estimated to be over 7,000 years, which makes it one of the oldest finds related to the pre-literate culture of the Balkans. The figurine depicts a humanoid with 4 eyes, or possibly with elements resembling a mask. There is a hypothesis that these four eyes are actually part of a mask or headdress, and the figurine itself might not depict a real being, but rather a mythical or divine creature revered in that society at the time. There is even a bold suggestion that it could be something resembling a spacesuit, hinting at contact with something extraterrestrial. Although, of course, this remains in the realm of fantasy. Little is known about the purpose of the figurine. It may have been used in rituals or served as a symbol of a protector or guardian. This artifact raises more questions than answers and continues to spark debates among archaeologists and mystery enthusiasts. This four-eyed figurine is one of those rare artifacts that not only reveal fragments of the past to us, but also ignite our imagination. An artifact more valuable than gold. In 2023 in Carlisle in the north of England, a unique artifact was discovered at the site of an ancient Roman bath, made from a special substance that was more valuable than gold to the ancient Romans. This item, found by volunteers and archaeologists, is a solid sample of Tyrian purple. To obtain this ancient dye, it was necessary to process about 12,000 mollusks that live in the Mediterranean region. Tyrian purple, best known for being produced in the city of Tyre, in Lebanon, was valued for its brightness and durability and was used for dyeing clothes and painting walls. The process of making it was complex and labor-intensive, which made this pigment extremely expensive and available only to the upper classes of the Roman Empire. The sample found in Carlisle was used for creating frescoes or dyeing fabrics. This is the only known example of a solid sample of Tyrian purple in Northern Europe, and possibly in the entire territory of the Roman Empire. This discovery not only highlights the complexity and richness of ancient Roman culture, but also contributes to further study of the interactions between ancient civilizations and the spread of their cultural and material achievements beyond traditional boundaries. The face of Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III ruled ancient Egypt 3,400 years ago during the height of its power. He is considered one of the wealthiest people in history. He was revered as a living god, and he was the grandfather of Tutankhamun. Now we can see his true face thanks to scientific reconstruction. Amenhotep III led Egypt to unprecedented prosperity and international power. More statues of him have survived than of any other pharaoh, yet his face has never been reconstructed. An international team of scientists decided to show us what this man looked like. Michael Habicht, an archaeologist from Flinders University in Australia, notes that Amenhotep III looked different from how he appears on his statues. This suggests that all Egyptians who lived after his death did not know what he actually looked like. His face after reconstruction expresses the calmness of a man who advocated for peace and lived during a time of economic prosperity. Studies have shown that the pharaoh was overweight, sick, and not very mobile, suffered from dental problems, was almost bald, and had a height of only 156 centimeters, making him one of the shortest pharaohs. Brazilian graphics expert Cícero Moraes carried out a digital reconstruction of Amenhotep III's skull, using data from living donors to determine the size and position of the nose, ears, eyes, and lips. The reconstruction also took into account historical data about his sturdy physique. This is the first realistic depiction of Amenhotep III's face, which includes not only the face but also clothing and accessories. Amenhotep III died between the ages of 40 and 50, leaving his successor a country at the peak of power and wealth. In diplomatic letters, foreign rulers begged him to send them gold, describing Egypt as a country where gold was as plentiful as sand. There is a theory that the mummy of Amenhotep III might have been covered with gold leaf, making him look like a statue of a god. It is also believed that the pharaoh was a great admirer of women, bringing in hundreds of foreign women for his harem. After the death of Amenhotep III, his son Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten and established the cult of the sun god Aten. However, his son Tutankhaten restored the cult of Amun and changed his name to Tutankhamun, becoming one of the most famous pharaohs thanks to the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Witch marks. On the eve of Halloween, representatives of the English Heritage Commission made an interesting statement. In one of the best preserved medieval manors in England, Gainsborough Old Hall, dozens of mysterious symbols were discovered. They are called witch marks, although they are only associated with witches in folklore. Gainsborough Old Hall, built in 1460 by Sir Thomas Burgh, is located in eastern England. This impressive manor, rivaling royal residences, served as the home of the wealthy and influential Burgh family. They often had to defend their lands from neighbors, and over the years even Henry VIII himself stayed here. In 1542, he visited the manor with his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, who was soon accused of treason and executed. Perhaps this place played a role in the fate of Catherine Parr, his sixth and final wife. The building has preserved many elements of its medieval appearance: the main hall with a unique roof, the kitchen, and the tower. However, researchers were intrigued by mysterious markings on the walls. It took 2 years to study them, and some interesting facts were discovered. Most of the symbols are located in the servants' wing, but some are in the main hall. Among them, the pentagram stands out, associated with casting curses, as well as the name Hickman, written upside down, the owner of the estate since the 16th century. In Anglo-Saxon and Roman times, changing a name in spells was practiced, but for the Middle Ages, this finding is unique. However, most of the symbols are so-called witch marks. These are circles with patterns that were meant to ward off demons and protect the house from evil forces. Despite the name, their main purpose is protection. The marks, for example, could symbolize traps for evil or be used in sympathetic magic rituals. Often, the owners of the buildings would even scorch the walls to protect the house from fires. More than 100 such marks were found in Gainsborough Old Hall. Beer Quarry Cave. This Roman quarry was once a hideout for smugglers, and now rare species of bats live here. The beer stone quarried here was an important building material even in Roman times. 2,000 years of quarrying created a winding system of caves near the village of Beer, which gave its name to this stone. The first Romans arriving in Devon noticed the limestone cliffs at the mouth of the River Exe. They discovered veins of fine-grained limestone and began to quarry it. When the surface deposits were exhausted, the Romans dug deeper into the rocks, extracting the stone with pickaxes and wooden wedges. This stone was used for the construction of important public buildings. The stone was transported to the river and sent by boat. After the 5th century, the Saxons did not use it. Their workings were characterized by sharp square corners, unlike the Romans' round ones. Beer stone was easy to work with, but it hardened in the air, becoming stronger. It was cut on site and used for the construction of buildings such as Windsor Castle, London Bridge, and Westminster Abbey. The stone was also used in the construction of Christ Church Cathedral in St. Louis, USA. After the Protestant Reformation, Catholics held secret masses in these caves. In the early 19th century, smugglers, including Jack Rettenbury, used the caves to hide contraband from sea vessels. Stone quarrying stopped in the early 20th century when a new site was discovered. Today, these caves are of special scientific interest because of the rare bats. The Sabu Disc. This is one of the most mysterious artifacts of ancient Egypt, found in the tomb of Sabu, a descendant of Pharaoh Ajib. It is at least 5,000 years old, but its true purpose remains a mystery. At first glance, it's a stone disc with 3 curved petals, but the details make you think. The thickness in some places is only 1.5 mm, which indicates incredible precision in its manufacture. Considering the level of technology at that time, many people wonder how this was possible. Scientists hypothesize that the disc could have been part of a ritual or a decorative element, but there are other theories that go beyond the usual. Some researchers believe that the Sabu disc could have been a copy of a device left by visitors from the sky, an advanced civilization that visited Earth in ancient times. The structure and shape of the artifact resemble modern aerodynamic devices or even elements of complex mechanisms. The Egyptians might have considered this object sacred and tried to reproduce something they saw but did not understand. Some think the Sabu disc may unlock secrets about ancient civilizations' contact with extraterrestrials. For now, these are just speculations, but the mystical aura surrounding this artifact continues to stir the imagination and invites us to delve into the wars of the past. Mystical petroglyphs. The distance from Egypt to Australia is 12,500 kilometers. However, as archaeological discoveries show, for ancient people this distance was easily overcome. The Gosford glyphs are mysterious petroglyphs discovered in a rocky area near the city of Gosford in Australia. These images on the stone amazed researchers with their resemblance to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The glyphs depict scenes and symbols that suggest these images may indicate possible contact between ancient Australian tribes and extraterrestrial beings, or even ancient Egyptian journeys to Australia. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory claim that these glyphs could be evidence that, in the distant past, interactions took place between different ancient cultures, or even with extraterrestrial civilizations. However, skeptics also weigh in here, pointing out numerous inconsistencies and believing that the glyphs could have been created in modern times, possibly as a hoax, or are the work of local Aboriginal people who use symbols similar to Egyptian ones. The question of the origin and authenticity of the Gosford glyphs remains open. At the moment, there is no convincing evidence confirming their antiquity or connection to extraterrestrial civilizations, which makes this discovery one of the most mysterious archaeological enigmas in Australia. Ancient Roman giant near Rome, archaeologists discovered a unique ancient human skeleton with gigantism. Standing at 202 centimeters tall, the man stood out among his contemporaries of the 3rd century, where the average height was about 167 centimeters. Gigantism is an extremely rare condition, affecting about 3 people per million, and is associated with pituitary gland dysfunction in childhood. Previously, partial skeletons were found in Poland and Egypt, presumably indicating gigantism. However, the Roman find became the first confirmed case from antiquity. A person with gigantism was found in 1991 during the excavations of a necropolis in Fidene under Roman rule. The archaeological team immediately noted the unusual length of the tomb, and later studies confirmed the peculiarities of the bones. Researchers discovered damage to the skull consistent with a pituitary tumor, as well as disproportionately long limbs and signs of bone growth in early adulthood. The early death of the man, presumably between the ages of 16 and 20, may indicate issues related to gigantism. The skeleton was found without any burial goods, and his burial did not differ from the traditions of that time, which suggests that he was accepted by society. The symbolism of this find highlights the interest of the Roman upper class in people with physical anomalies. The ghosts of Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is not only one of the largest underground systems in the world, with passages about 500 kilometers long, but also a place shrouded in legends. Originally, the cave was used for mining saltpeter, and later it became a tourist attraction. Underground lakes, giant halls, and the echo that resounds in the labyrinths attracted the curious from all corners. However, the cave gained real fame thanks to stories about ghosts. Among visitors and workers, there are rumors that in the cave you can encounter the souls of deceased workers who once toiled in its depths. Tourists often report strange shadows, vague silhouettes, or unexplained voices coming from the darkness. There have been cases when entire groups claim to have seen ghostly figures that seem to be watching them from afar. Legends claim that these are the spirits of miners who died in accidents. These stories add even more mystery to the cave and attract not only nature lovers, but also seekers of the supernatural. Mammoth Cave remains a place where the supernatural and history intertwine, creating a unique atmosphere. The mystery of the flying stones. India has always been shrouded in mysteries and enigmas. In any corner of the country, you can come across something amazing and incredible. Many people come here for new experiences, to discover unknown spiritual possibilities within themselves. Once you visit this amazing country, it's impossible to forget it. One of the mysteries of India is the levitating stones in the small village of Shivapur, which is located 200 kilometers from Bombay. Near the local temple, there are several boulders, each weighing more than 100 kilograms. According to the locals, these stones can rise into the air. To lift the first heavier stone, 11 men are required. They must stand around it and say certain words. After that, the stone begins to levitate, and it can be supported with just one finger. The smaller boulder requires 9 men to lift it. There is also a third stone weighing over 60 kilograms, which can only be lifted by the temple monks. The origin of these stones is mysterious. Some believe that they were sent by the gods, while others think that they broke off from a nearby cliff. A local resident who takes care of the temple claims that the stones crack from time to time, and he replaces them with new ones by breaking them off from the cliff. But even the new stones retain their ability to levitate. Some scientists suggest that ancient people were able to move objects with the power of their minds, like during the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. Perhaps the knowledge of levitation was lost, but sometimes it resurfaces in places like Shivapur. Interestingly, in the 19th century, Edward Litzkalnin, an immigrant from Latvia, used similar methods to build his coral castle in Florida, which only confirms the existence of such knowledge. These unexplained phenomena support the hypothesis of extraterrestrial influence on ancient civilizations, suggesting that some technologies or methods could have been passed on to humanity by beings from other worlds. Indian airplanes. In Mexico and South America, amazing artifacts known as Indian airplanes were found. These miniature gold figurines, dating back hundreds or possibly even thousands of years, are striking in their detail. At first glance, they look like toys, but their shape is too similar to modern flying machines, such as space shuttles or airplanes. Scientists were especially intrigued by the tail rudders, the symmetrical notches on the wings, and other elements that would have no practical purpose in a toy. This raises the question, what served as the basis for creating these figurines? The only plausible explanation is that the craftsmen were copying what they saw. Perhaps these artifacts are a reflection of real events, when the inhabitants of ancient America observed the flights of mysterious devices. Some researchers link these findings to theories about ancient astronauts, claiming that aliens, Anunnaki, or representatives of another civilization visited Earth and left their traces. The mystery of these little airplanes is intensified by another fact. Modern engineering allows us to create models based on these artifacts, which, when equipped with an engine, are actually capable of flying. What is this? Is it a coincidence, an ancient myth, or evidence of technologies that came from other planets? An ancient Roman supermarket in the ocean. Archaeologists have discovered an ancient Roman supermarket on the Channel Islands off the coast of France, where various goods were traded. Research that began in 2008 led to the discovery of 2 Roman coins, which point to this finding. One coin depicts Caesar as a teenager, and the other shows an emperor who was killed by invading Goths. Alderney Island, the northernmost of the Channel Islands, may have served as a trading post for the Romans. Archaeologist Jason Monaghan noted that remains of Roman structures have been found here, including a grotto, which indicates a permanent Roman presence. They could have monitored ships bringing goods from the Mediterranean to France. Archaeologists believe that Roman soldiers lived on the island, controlling trade routes and protecting them from pirates. It's possible that soldiers' families and Roman officials also lived here. In 2017, using electrical equipment, Iron Age burials and parts of a Roman building were discovered on the island, confirming long-term settlement. Excavations showed that the Roman-era building had 3 rooms, a courtyard, a paved area, and a garbage dump, where one of the Antoninianus coins was found, dated to 255 AD, equivalent to 2 denarii. In another layer of the building, a bronze coin of the Roman co-emperor Valens was found, dated to 364-367 AD, who was killed in the Battle of Adrianople. About 27 meters from the building, the remains of a Roman fort were discovered. Archaeologists believe that many more buildings from the Roman era may be hidden under the sand dunes, creating a mini Pompeii effect. Ancient pharaoh inscriptions in the Nile. Diver archaeologists explored algae-covered rock formations at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable. However, upon closer inspection, scientists discovered several inscriptions related to ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins of the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carved images that are at least 2,300 years old. The images range from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. In the photo, you can see several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and are quite difficult to distinguish. One set of inscriptions looks like a row of mannequin heads above 2 objects resembling tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these findings may help us better understand how ancient kings ruled in those distant times. The Gates of Pluto. In 2013, an amazing discovery was made in Turkey. an ancient sanctuary also known as the Gates to Hell. This mystical place attracted the attention of archaeologists with its deadly vapors that kill any animals that come near them. The discovery was made in the ancient city of Hierapolis, located in the modern province of Denizli. The gates of Pluto were dedicated to the ancient Roman god of the underworld, Pluto. The site is a cave from which poisonous gases emanated. These vapors contain a high concentration of carbon dioxide, making the air deadly for any living creatures. Priests at the ancient sanctuary showed the god's power by bringing animals to the gates where they immediately died from poisonous gas. Archaeologists have determined that high concentrations of carbon dioxide were coming from deep fissures in the ground beneath the sanctuary. The gas reaches the surface and accumulates in the cave, creating a deadly atmosphere. This natural phenomenon was known even to the ancient Romans and was used for ritual purposes. The discovery of the gates of Pluto not only reveals the secrets of the ancient sanctuary, but also demonstrates how natural phenomena could be used in religious rituals of antiquity. The tomb of the dwarf horses. French archaeologists discovered 9 large graves containing the remains of 28 6-year-old stallions, buried on their right side with their heads facing south, and 2 dogs with their heads facing west. These findings, dated by radiocarbon methods, belong to the end of the Roman conquest of Gaul and the beginning of the Roman Empire between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. Experts are considering the theory that the animals may have been buried after dying in battle or during a complex ritual. Death from disease is considered unlikely, since only adult males were found in the graves. The remains are being checked for parasites. The graves were found in Villiers-sur-Indre in central France, where the foundations of ancient buildings, ditches, and a medieval road had previously been discovered. The first grave contained 10 complete horse skeletons neatly arranged in 2 rows. A similar burial was found in 2002 in Puy-de-Dôme, where the remains of 8 warriors and their horses were discovered. Work turned English women into witches. For a woman to be accused of witchcraft in the early modern period, sometimes she didn't have to do anything except annoy her neighbors with her presence. However, there was also an unexpected factor that significantly increased the chances of British women becoming victims of witchcraft accusations. Accusations of sorcery began spreading across Europe in the 13th century during the fight against heretics. By the Renaissance, this practice had grown into a mass witch hunt, which peaked in the 16th and 17th centuries. Although men were also suspected of witchcraft, women became the victims of accusations in the overwhelming majority of cases. Only 10 to 30% of the suspects were men. Historians explain this by misogyny and the social and economic problems of that time. But research by Dr. Philip Carter from Cambridge University points to another reason. Carter studied the handwritten journals of Richard Napier, a physician and astrologer who lived in the 16th and 17th centuries. Napier, being a parish rector, is known not only for his sermons but also as a healer of both soul and body. In his records, there are 1,714 cases mentioned where patients complained that they had been cursed. Often, such stories included the names of alleged witches, and the overwhelming majority of accusations were against women. Carter found that a woman's occupation made her much more likely to be accused. This is explained by the professions that English women held at the time: caring for the sick, children, cooking, dairy production, and caring for livestock. If a patient did not recover, cheese spoiled, or a calf died, an accusation of witchcraft was quick to follow. The work of a midwife was considered especially dangerous. High infant mortality often provoked accusations of casting curses. Male craftsmen, even if their work went poorly, were more often criticized for poor workmanship rather than accused of magic. The records about Pierre do not contain information on how such accusations ended. Perhaps some suspicions remained just words, and the accusers simply vented their emotions when speaking to the physician astrologer. Thus, in the Middle Ages, a working woman was much more likely to be accused of being a witch than an ordinary housewife. Haki, the Glozell tablet. In 1924, clay tablets with mysterious symbols and images were discovered in the small village of Glozell in France, sparking heated debates within the scientific community. These artifacts, discovered by a young farmer named Emile Frat, were so unusual that it was impossible to link them to any known ancient civilization. The tablets contain symbols and images resembling ancient scripts, but their origin and meaning remain unclear. Some researchers have hypothesized that the Glozil tablets could be evidence of a lost or unknown culture that developed in this region thousands of years ago. Another, more radical theory suggests that these tablets could be traces of extraterrestrial intervention, although there is very little evidence to support this. However, the tablets' authenticity is still questioned. Since their discovery, scientists have conducted numerous studies to determine whether they are genuine, ancient artifacts or forgeries. To this day, neither version has received definitive confirmation, and the Glozil tablets continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Remains of ancient plants, archaeologists from Guard Archaeology found a Bronze Age hoard in Rosemarkie. The hoard, dated to around 1000 BCE, was discovered in a prehistoric settlement with 6 round houses and a bronze tomb. A wooden palisade that protected the settlement was also found at the excavation site. Laboratory studies showed that the hoard consists of 6 penannular bracelets, 1 bracelet with cup-shaped ends, 1 complete neck ring, 1 partial neck ring, and intertwined plant fibers. It's amazing that the plant cords tying the bracelets together were preserved thanks to the antimicrobial properties of the copper in the bronze. The cords remained intact for about 3,000 years. Earth's snot. In one of the toxic caves near the Mexican city of Tabasco, researcher Diana Norda came across a strange substance, which immediately received the unofficial name soplet, or Earth's snot. These thick, stretchy drops of whitish substance hang from the cave ceilings like fantastic stalactites. At first glance, they look like something out of a horror movie, but this is a completely real phenomenon. Soplet still remains little studied. Scientists suggest that it consists of mineral and biological components, possibly related to the activity of bacteria living in the cave's extreme conditions. Although preliminary data suggests that the substance is not dangerous to humans, the very thought that such a thick drop could suddenly fall on your forehead might make anyone reconsider the appeal of underground exploration. Caves have long been considered some of the most extreme places on the planet, where unique forms of life thrive. Studying soplet may shed light on microbial ecosystems and their role in the formation of such substances. The Cockno stone, this massive stone located near the town of Clydebank in Scotland, is covered with intricate carved patterns consisting of spirals, circles, and lines, and is still considered one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in Scotland. After conducting numerous analyses, scientists confirmed that the stone is about 5,000 years old. The patterns on the Cockno stone attracted attention because of their uniqueness and complexity. Some researchers interpret these symbols as an ancient map of the starry sky, suggesting the stone may have been used for astronomical purposes. In their opinion, the spirals and circular patterns may represent stars, planets, or even the paths of celestial bodies, which could have helped the ancient inhabitants of Scotland track the movement of heavenly objects. The stone could also have served as a place for rituals or ceremonies related to worshiping gods or nature spirits. However, there is still no consensus about what role this artifact played in the lives of ancient people. Supporters of the paleocontact theory suggest that the patterns on the Cockno stone may be evidence of contact with ancient civilizations. In their opinion, the complexity and symbolism of the images may indicate interaction with a more advanced culture, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. Fabric dyed with insects. Scientists studied fragments of dyed fabric found in the School Cave in Israel. These pieces of textile date back to the Middle Bronze Age. The scientists' research showed that the dye for the fabric was made from dried insects, Mediterranean Mummies. Even in ancient times, people learned to make dyes from living creatures. In the Mediterranean, the most expensive dye was purple, which was obtained from the secretions of sea mollusk glands. Another valuable red dye was made from dried female scale insects, such as Mediterranean Mummies, which live on oak trees. Written evidence of the use of such dyes can be found in cuneiform texts from the Nutsi archive and in the Old Testament. Archaeologists have also found kermes in Neolithic vessels in France, although they were most likely used for magical or medicinal purposes. The earliest fragments of textiles dyed with kermes come from ancient salt mines in Austria, dating from 1400 to 400 BC. Kermes was also used to dye the legendary Pazyryk carpet in Altai. A rare astronomical instrument, a medieval brass astrolabe from the 11th century, was discovered by chance, but turned out to be an important piece of evidence of intercultural scientific interaction. Created in Spain, it later received inscriptions in different languages as new owners adapted it for themselves. This artifact is unique as a palimpsest, reflecting the changing ideas and needs of its owners. This is not just a rare example of an ancient instrument. It's a powerful testament to the scientific exchange between Arabs, Jews, and Christians over the centuries. The Verona astrolabe underwent many changes as it passed from hand to hand. At least 3 owners added translations and corrections, 2 in Hebrew and 1 in an Indo-European language. Astrolabes are maps of the sky with rotating parts that help determine position in time and space. They were useful for navigation, astronomy, and astrology. Hongshan artifacts. The Hongshan civilization is one of the most mysterious cultures of ancient Egypt, which existed about 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. It left behind unusual jade artifacts that depict humanoids with teardrop-shaped heads and huge eyes. Some of the figurines resemble creatures riding watercraft, computers, or even flying machines. These images do not fit into the usual idea of ancient cultures and make you wonder who or what the craftsmen of Hongshan were trying to depict. The unique caves of Hongshan, discovered in 1999, are also attributed to this culture. These man-made caves are striking in their size and complexity. Inside, you can see pools, bridges over rivers, stairs, and passageways. The area of the largest cave is 12,600 square meters, but the real mysteries are the marks left on the walls. They resemble modern tunnel boring machines, although technology of that level is believed not to have existed thousands of years ago. In addition, it remains unclear where the enormous volumes of excavated rock disappeared to. Scientists have still not found any traces of its use. Some researchers suggest that the caves and jade artifacts are evidence of contact with a more advanced civilization, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. The metal objects from Gaius Lamana Cave in Ecuador have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also enthusiasts of mysticism and ufology for many years. The story of the discovery of metal objects in these caves is shrouded in mystery and mysticism. According to legends, metal plates were discovered in Lamana, engraved with symbols that resemble modern diagrams, maps, and even technical drawings. These discoveries became the basis for hypotheses about the existence of an unknown civilization in the distant past that possessed highly advanced technologies, or about contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. Supporters of these theories claimed that such complex and detailed symbols could not have been created with primitive tools and must be evidence of more advanced knowledge. Some researchers even suggest that the plates could have served as star maps or technological instructions left by extraterrestrials. However, most scientists are quite skeptical about these findings. There is no convincing evidence that the metal objects from Lamana actually date back to ancient times. Some experts point to possible traces of modern metalworking and the inconsistency of these artifacts with the styles and technologies known in ancient Ecuador. Moreover, there is no reliable dating evidence or discovery context for these items, which further undermines their authenticity. Archaeologists believe that these artifacts could have been created in a later period, possibly as part of a hoax or to attract tourists. Thus, despite the fascinating and mysterious stories about the metal objects from the Lamana caves, their origin and significance remain in question. The story of the Lamana caves is an example of how myths and legends can intertwine with reality, creating exciting but often unreliable accounts of our past. Corpses in the Cave of Death. The cave, located in a remote area of the Scottish Highlands, bears the ominous name Cave of Death, and this name is fully justified. The archaeologists who discovered it were shocked by the findings inside: the remains of decapitated bodies, children's heads on stakes, and traces of blood. The specialist estimates these terrifying artifacts are over 1,000 years old. Researchers suggest that the cave was used for sacred rituals during which human sacrifices were made. It is possible that this place was part of an ancient cult associated with the worship of gods or nature spirits. Such rituals, including blood sacrifices, were common in some ancient cultures, and the cave itself could have served as a kind of sanctuary for these purposes. The walls of the cave, covered with ancient traces and remnants of organic matter, allow us to reconstruct the grim scenes that took place here many centuries ago. Despite the horrifying nature of the findings, they give scientists an opportunity to better understand ancient rituals and beliefs, reminding us of the dark pages of human history. Mice ate an important message. Sometimes archaeologists make such astonishing discoveries that it's hard to believe. One of the most unusual discoveries was an ancient Greek letter that was eaten by mice. It was written on a wooden tablet and contained an order to kill the messenger. Researchers were never able to prove whether this order was carried out. The letter, written between 257 and 248 BC, belonged to a man named Ephermastos. He sent it to his brother Zenon. The letter said, "Greetings. The letter I wrote to Zenon and the money of Calicon was eaten by mice. You will do me a favor if you write quickly, so that Calicon is not delayed. Goodbye." The ancient Greeks often wrote letters on various topics: family stories, news, love messages, political views. Letters were an important means of communication and literary expression. The first mention of a letter in Greek literature appeared in Homer's Iliad, where Proetus gives a tablet to Bellerophon. In the 6th century BC, Herodotus described correspondence between King Amasis and the tyrant Polycrates. Letters were written with a reed pen and ink on papyrus, which was then rolled up and tied with a thread. Official documents were sealed so that only the recipient could open them. In addition to papyrus, they used metal, wood, beeswax, clay tablets, limestone, or animal skin. The oldest Greek letters were written on lead tablets around 500 BC. The oldest wine, preserved in liquid form, was discovered by Spanish scientists in an ancient Roman underground mausoleum in Carmona, a glass urn containing cremated remains and a liquid, which turned out to be the oldest known wine. The find is about 2,000 years old. Carmona, located in Andalusia, was a major city of the Roman province of Baetica in the 1st centuries AD. The city has preserved the ruins of an amphitheater and a necropolis, where archaeological discoveries are still being made. In 2019, archaeologists found the entrance to an underground tomb, which presumably belonged to a wealthy family. Inside, they discovered 8 niches for urns, 6 of which contained cremated remains. One of the glass urns also contained a gold ring with an image of Janus and a red-colored liquid. Chemical analysis confirmed that it was wine, which changed color due to chemical processes over 2,000 years. The use of wine in Roman burial rituals is well documented. Wine was added to the urn after placing the cremated remains to help the deceased in the afterlife. This find is important evidence of Roman customs and confirmation of the longevity of their traditions. Earlier, other interesting artifacts were found in the mausoleum, such as an ancient Roman unguentarium with traces of perfume made from patchouli essential oil. Artifacts of a vanished, mysterious civilization. Archaeologists discovered gold jewelry, small arrowheads, and a large bronze mirror in burial mounds about 2,000 years old in the Turkestan region in southern Kazakhstan. These artifacts were presumably made during the time of the Kangju state, which ruled the region between the 5th century BC and the 4th century AD. The finds demonstrate the high craftsmanship of Kangju artisans, who traded with ancient Rome, China, and the Kushan Empire. The bronze mirror, judging by its style and pattern, most likely originated from China during the Han Dynasty. Similar mirrors have been found in Afghanistan and in the southern Urals, which indicates the high status of the woman next to whom it was buried. Archaeologists claim that the state of Kangju was a federation of different peoples, including the Sarmatians, the Xiongnu, and the Saka. The location of the cities of Kangju on the Silk Road contributed to diplomatic and trade relations with the entire ancient world. The artifacts will be exhibited at the National Museum of the Republic of Kazakhstan in Astana. It was used as a seat. An unexpected archaeological discovery was made in Turkey. The stone that had been used as a seat for decades near a mosque in the city of Fatsa turned out to be a Roman artifact, almost 1,800 years old. This monument from the Roman Empire era dates back to the year 239 AD and is a miliarium, a stone that marked distances on the roads of the empire. Roman miliaria played an important role in the transportation system that covered all of Anatolia. Placed every Roman mile about 1.5 kilometers, they indicated the distance to the nearest cities and sometimes included the names of emperors or officials responsible for building the roads. The stone discovered in Fatsa was dedicated to Emperor Gordian III and was installed to mark the reconstructed section of the port road connecting the Balaman and Yalakai districts. The unusual use of the stone became known thanks to the literature teacher Aydin Bal, who noticed the unusual artifact near the La Leyli Mosque. Local experts conducted the research. The inscription on the stone was translated by the epigraphist Hüseyin Sami Öztürk, confirming its Roman origin. Originally, the miliarium was located along the Roman road, but it was moved in the 1970s during the construction of the mosque. Now the artifact has been sent to the Ordu Museum for further study. Namali figurines. The Namali figurines, found in Sierra Leone in West Africa, are among the most mysterious artifacts on the African continent. These ancient sculptures, carved from stone, depict strange creatures with disproportionately large heads, bulging eyes, and other unusual features that are not characteristic of human anatomy. Some of them even depict scenes that can be interpreted as mythological or religious. The unique shapes and features of these figurines have attracted the attention not only of archaeologists, but also of proponents of ancient astronaut theories. Some researchers believe that the Namali figurines may represent images of extraterrestrial beings with whom the ancient inhabitants of the region may have had contact. In their opinion, the strange proportions and features of the figurines may indicate that they were created under the impression of real beings of extraterrestrial origin. Although this theory has no scientific evidence, it adds an aura of mystery to the Namali figurines and attracts the attention of ufologists and lovers of mysticism. Mainstream science regards the Namali figurines as religious or ritual objects, and it believes that these artifacts were most likely used in ancient ceremonies or rituals related to the worship of gods or spirits, as they could have symbolized certain mythological characters. As I have told you before, when archaeologists or historians cannot explain the origin of an artifact, it inevitably becomes an object of religious significance. Interestingly, Namali figurines are often found deep in the ground, sometimes together with other ancient artifacts, various iron objects or weapons, which makes it more difficult to date them and determine their cultural context. Some findings suggest that these artifacts may have existed in very ancient times, possibly long before the emergence of known civilizations in this region. Bodies of extraterrestrial beings. Ideas about the appearance of aliens are diverse. Some believe that they look like humans but with differences, a different skin color or genome elements resembling reptiles or plants. Such images are often found in literature and cinema. For example, in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, aliens are depicted as furry or tree-like humanoids. Rocket Raccoon and Groot, covered in bark, became the embodiment of this idea. Other researchers and writers believe that it's pointless to form ideas about alien life based on Earth's evolution. The Polish writer Stanisław Lem took a different approach in his novel Solaris. His alien intelligence is depicted as an ocean capable of interacting with humans through their memories, giving them a chance to correct the past. This became a philosophical response to anthropocentrism in the depiction of aliens. There are also more sinister versions. Some believe that alien life forms could be parasites, using the human body as a habitat. A similar idea was portrayed in the movie Venom, where an extraterrestrial symbiote used a human as a host. Not long ago, Mexican ufologist Jaime Maussan presented remains that, according to him, belong to ancient aliens. These humanoid-like creatures have 3-fingered limbs, no teeth, and unusual physical features. X-ray analysis revealed rare metals in their bodies, such as cadmium and osmium, which are used today in satellite systems. An egg-shaped formation was found in one of the mummies, which further intrigued mystery enthusiasts. However, scientists are skeptical about these claims. Earlier in 2017, Mosan had already presented findings that turned out to be the remains of ancient children, not aliens. To confirm or refute the validity of the new claims, serious research will be required. Until then, the discovery remains a subject of debate between ufologists and the scientific community. The mystical stones of Jalisco, the mystical piedros grabades de Uquelus de Jalisco, are mysterious stones found in the Mexican state of Jalisco, on which strange figures, scenes, and symbols are carved. These stones have attracted the attention of researchers and UFO enthusiasts because of the images that some believe indicate contact between ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial beings. The stones depict people interacting with figures resembling aliens, as well as objects similar to modern representations of UFOs. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory claim that these stones could be important evidence that the ancient cultures of Jalisco really did encounter extraterrestrial beings, or at least perceive such contacts within their myths and legends. Despite their controversial nature and lack of scientific confirmation, the stones continue to attract interest as a possible artifact reflecting the interaction between mythology and reality in ancient cultures. They still attract the interest of antiquities enthusiasts, raising questions about how our ancestors might have perceived or interpreted unusual phenomena. The oldest alphabet has been deciphered. Since 1964, archaeologists have discovered 15 tablets with mysterious carvings at the site of an ancient settlement in Jordan. A recent analysis showed that the tablets were probably created by the Canaanites, an ancient Semitic people who lived in the territory of modern Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, as well as parts of Jordan and Syria. Research has revealed that the tablets contain 29 unique symbols written from left to right. These symbols include dots, vertical lines, and abstract drawings. Scientists believe that the inscriptions represent ritual sayings related to a religious temple. Some signs, such as a symbol resembling an eye, have been identified as ayin, which means eye in Hebrew. These parallels have helped to begin the decipherment. The Canaanites inhabited Canaan from 3,500 to 1,200 BC until they were conquered by the Israelite tribes. They are mentioned in the Old Testament. Interestingly, the Canaanite alphabet became the basis for the Phoenician script, which in turn influenced the Greek and Latin alphabets. The Hjortspring boat was found in the Hjortspring bog in Denmark and is the oldest plank-built vessel in Northern Europe, dating back about 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, it weighs 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The planks of the boat were made of linden, the oars were made of maple, and there were curved extensions at each end. This boat is an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, demonstrating the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of that time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple for the oars because of its hardness and durability. Chinese emperors believed that jade could grant immortality, so they ordered that they be buried in special suits made of jade plates fastened with golden threads. Ancient chronicles mention such burials, but for centuries no one found any evidence of their existence. Many believed it was just a myth. Everything changed in 1958 when near Mount Lingshan, soldiers blasting a rock to build a bomb shelter accidentally discovered the untouched 2,000-year-old tomb of Liu Sheng, ruler of the Western Han Dynasty, and his wife Do Wan. These tombs turned out to be real underground palaces, filled with tens of thousands of relics, weapons, vessels, and even jade incense burners. The most amazing discovery was 2 jade burial suits, preserved in perfect condition. Liu Shen's suit consisted of 2,498 jade plates, connected with 1,100 grams of gold thread, and his wife's suit had 2,160 plates and 700 grams of thread. These outfits completely followed the contours of the bodies, including face masks. The tradition of such suits was explained not only by the symbolic, but also by the magical role of jade. In ancient China, jade was considered the embodiment of purity and resilience. It was regarded as a sacred material. According to beliefs, it could protect the body from decay. Special significance was given to the 9 orifices of the body: the eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, genitals, and anus, which were sealed with jade plugs to ensure immortality. However, discoveries have shown that the theory did not hold true. Jade suits did not protect bodies from decay. So why are such finds so rare? The answer is simple: looting. Even before the advent of archaeology, jade was valued incredibly highly. Tomb raiders had been hunting for it for centuries. Tombs were burned, the suits were dismantled, and the jade plates were sold or melted down. Over time, the looting became so widespread that in the year 222, Emperor Wen of Wei issued a decree banning the use of jade suits. He ended a 400-year-old tradition admitting immortality in this form was impossible. Although the idea seems grand, the end of the tradition turned out to be both tragic and ironic. Emperor Wen was determined enough to break this vicious cycle. And perhaps it was thanks to this ban that we were able to see the genuine jade suits centuries later. Write in the comments which of these discoveries shocked you the most. I will read every comment and take it into account in future videos. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Goodbye, everyone.